Welcome to the Grey Eye and Disability Arts online podcast, Disability And, bringing together thoughtful discussion and debate. This month, David Parker chats with Matthew Hellet, Matthew Kennedy and Hugo Carlson about the Oska Bright Film Festival for people with learning difficulties, Asperger's and autism. This podcast contains some strong language.
My name is Matthew Hellet. I'm a filmmaker and I'm the lead programmer for Oska Bright Film Festival.
My name's David Parker. I work for Carousel, which is a learning disability-led arts organisation. I work as the film and digital senior producer, and one of the big Carousel projects is the Oska Bright Film Festival. So Matthew, tell us more about Oska Bright Film Festival.
Well, we are simply the best. We are Oska Bright. We're the world's leading international film festival. We're based in the UK, made for and for people with learning disabilities, autism, and it's a creative platform to...
Who else works on the film festival?
Well, we have about 7 other committee members, apart from myself.
How do you work together as a team?
Well, we work creatively. Like when we have a festival, we split into genres about people's strong points, and then we discuss things creatively. And then, it depends what we have coming in creatively as a when we have a film festival coming up. It depends at the start of spring, and we split into small groups to discuss it. And when we don't have a film festival, we go on tour, or we discuss other creative ideas.
How often does the festival happen?
Oh, our festival is every 2 years. So the year in between, we go on tour with funding from BFI.
And you said you're the lead programmer.
Yeah.
How are your responsibilities different from the other members of the team?
I've been doing this for 2 festivals now, so I know what I'm talking about, and I have the knowledge and the understanding and the creative process, and I write a lot of notes as well. So I've got to understand about what I'm talking about as well. It means I have to make some hard decisions, and it's not always easy making those hard decisions.
What sort of things do you find difficult?
Well, saying no to people, but then on the optimistic side, people can enter their film into a different film festival or look at it again and try and improve their work and enter it into our next festival.
So you haven't always been the lead programmer for Oska Bright?
No, I've been on the festival committee now for about 10 years.
All right, so cast your mind back to 10 years ago. How did you get involved in the project?
Well, I made my first film back in 2004, Cooking with Matthew. It's a bit of a comedy film. And then I was asked back in the day, would I like to join the film committee, Oska Bright? But before I submitted my film, I hadn't heard of the film festival. But then it was only a 1-day festival. Yeah, and then I've been on it 10 years, but it's only in the past 2 festivals that I program all the films.
So Cooking with Matthew was your first film that you ever made?
Yeah.
And have you made a few more films since then?
Yeah, I made in a total 6. 1 for the council, 1 about my Ultra Drug Act, black and white, 1 from funding from Southeast Dance, and 1 from a musical band associated with Carousel called Sabring Gator. And I was asked if I could play a small part. And I said, yes, that'd be great.
So, and you said Cooking with Matthew's like a comedy film?
Yeah, it was, and it won Best Overall Film. I forgot to mention that.
That's just a small detail.
Yeah, that's only a small detail in a matter of, yeah.
So it won Best Overall Film in Oska Oska Bright 2007, was it?
2007, yeah.
And so that was your first contact with the festival. What was it like being part of it and winning that award?
It felt really great and surprisingly unreal because like I just turned up as part of the audience and I didn't expect my film to win, and I just was there with my support worker in the audience, and it felt great to felt recognised for my creative work because it was only the first film that I made.
Was it really different then, the festival, to what it is?
Yeah. The first one I did with Sarah, it was just like a 2-day or like 2 days at the old market, and then. But since then, all these years later, 6 or 8 years later, the quality from films, not just in the UK, but the quality has got better and better when people go on to do great work.
Why do you think the work is getting better and stronger?
I think people got more time to sit creatively, either on their own or with creative support, but with owning it, we've come up with ideas. But I also think that the technology has got much better.
So then after you joined Oska Bright in 2007, you made another film?
I made The Unusual Journey, and then I made Sparkle, which was the black and white one. And then I made Mrs. Sparkle with funding from Southeast Dance.
Tell us a little bit about Mrs. Sparkle then.
Oh, so Mrs. Sparkle, she was a bit sassy even back then. So Mrs. Sparkle was sassy, but just ordinary. But I dressed up in drag because I felt that back when I was doing my Miss Sparkle film, I just wanted to forget about my anxiety and my worries. And this is me. I want to forget my trivial anxieties, and this is who I am. And it felt great.
And had you ever done anything like that before?
No. So we had a makeup artist and just one filmmaker.
So did Mrs. Sparkle have a kind of a life outside of those films?
Well, I'd only just started out back then doing a small bit of drag at the Blue Camel Club. And it was all a bit new, but it felt really great to do something creatively different.
And then you had the funding from Southeast Dance.
Yeah.
And how did that feel to make that film? Did you show it in other festivals or? Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but it won an award in Canada. Picture this, and I had to travel there with Simon to pick it up. Yeah, it was only my second time being back there, and then it was a quite high budget film back then.
And what was it like presenting that film at another festival?
Oh gosh, yeah, it felt really great. I wasn't aware until about a month later that it won an award. So suddenly I got this invite, but more than an invite because you had to go to another country, which felt great. And then got there, and then Simon said, "Oh, you have to dress up smarty, Matthew." And so and then my picture taken. It won Best Overall Film in 2009.
It's getting a little bit closer to when I joined Carousel, which was
just before you joined Carousel. Yeah.
The year before I joined, you and Stephen and Simon and Mark were in Australia.
Yeah, that's right. Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Any stories to tell about that?
I dressed up in drag with another person with learning disability on the rock. I got a bit drunk, and then I accidentally hit Simon on the head.
What were you in Australia?
Oh right, yeah. So it came about. We were lucky to have the funding back then. In 2011, and we were asked to teach or to learn our skills for people in Adelaide and Barossa and Claire learning disabilities and the basics of film. And since we left and got back to, they set up their own film festival now.
Oh, fantastic. And that's sit down, shut up and watch.
Yeah. Sit down, shut up and watch. Yeah.
And how long were you out in Australia for?
Oh gosh, 6 weeks. And it felt quite surreal coming back because of, all the time zones and.
It's quite a long trip, isn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a long trip. Yeah. I got a lot out of it creatively, a lot out of it. It was also doing something different and challenging because I've been on a festival now for about 10 years.
So it was a new challenge.
Yeah, it's a new creative challenge, and I got mentored from my mentor from the BFI. It was Emma Smart. And she programs all the film for BFI Flair, and she does other work, but she.
And what was that mentoring process like for you?
Yeah, it's really good. Like initially, we had 4 meetings, but I took loads of notes, and I had support from you. But I took loads of notes, and then on the second one, I took even more notes because I felt a bit more prepared. So on the train journey home, I felt a bit more prepared. So what can I say to her, or what can I bounce in themes? What can I say to her and my team back in Brighton? It was the start of my becoming the lead programmer, and still to this day, I really like it a lot. I really enjoy what I do. I think without Emma, I wouldn't know how to I wouldn't know how to balance the themes. I wouldn't know how to say no to filmmakers and to my team back in Brighton, the Carousel team, and also the committee, and it's also about learning new things. I asked the committee with the support of my colleague, maybe they can split into like genres of films like sci-fi, documentary, comedy, music, dance, drama. And then I asked my mentor, can I have a strand, please, for queer freedom? Being a gay man with a learning disability, So I had the idea, but I wanted to know what she creatively thought of it. And like if it would work. And she said, you own it, Matthew. You're going to be the programmer and just try and creatively make it happen. So 5 months down the line, it happened. So I was almost learning to delegate my work, not just to my committee, but to the Oska Bright team in the office. Back in Brighton,
So in 2017, the Queer Freedom Strand was born.
Yeah.
One of the films you programmed was Versions by Mattie Kennedy.
For Versions, that's it. Versions, yeah.
And then Mattie came down to the festival.
For the first time, he came down. He got the funding from Creative Scotland, yeah.
And what was it like to meet him?
It felt really creatively great. It felt great because I never met somebody like me that's got queer and has got learning disability, and like when we had the chat in the evening, we had so much in common and the conversation just flowed.
Well, should we contact Mattie and get him involved in this conversation, and then maybe you and him? Yes, that would be fab. Okay, let's get Mattie on the call.
Hi, I'm Mattie Kennedy. I'm a filmmaker, writer, kind of all-around artist. I'm from Glasgow, Scotland. I've been working with Oska Bright since 2015. It's kind of because of them that I've actually kind of been introduced to like the learning disability arts scene, particularly down in Brighton, because there's such a big scene down there. Finding out about Oska Bright was where I kind of really found out about learning disability arts. And it's kind of like, I think it's actually kind of how I kind of pronounced myself as a learning disability artist. So, oh yeah, and I'm also LGBTQ plus as well, from that community as well. So there's a slight overlap.
Matthew and Mattie started talking about a series of in-conversation events that they'd held across the UK in 2017 and 2018.
Basically, the events were events between myself and, Matthew Hellet. And it was basically film screenings of our films plus a selection of other films. And then we would go into discussions about what it means to be a learning disabled / queer artist, and how
filmmakers.
We navigate the sort of, I suppose, the arts community in general as queer learning disabled filmmakers, and just, expressing ourselves and our identities through that specific medium.
I was talking about the other day with Mattie. We've done about 4. We've done Brighton, we've done Bristol, we've done Glasgow, Mattie's home city, and then we've done Canterbury.
Yeah, because I think the first event that we did, I think it was
almost 4 years ago in Brighton.
So, I think that's another thing that we don't think about a lot. I think with events like this, the Matthew events, it's important to kind of archive these events.
Yeah,
because
you don't want anything to get lost or forgotten about, especially in this pandemic we're in. We've got to try and work creatively to the best of our ability, which I'm sure we're doing that anyway. But you're right, it's good to keep archives of stuff.
I think, I know for me personally, I've got a responsibility to keep your history and my history from being
just to keep it creatively alive, just to keep it going. I think, you're right, Matthew, but because without the media of film, I don't know about you, but for me, it was help in my second and third film to a form of expression, a form of who I am and what I represent.
I think for me, my filmmaking journey has been it's been kind of weird in some way, because my first 2 films, they were done with no money at all. I didn't have an arts organisation in my corner. I was doing it all on my own, and my family were very, very supportive. And then obviously I found out about, film festivals like Oska Bright, for example, and another festival, which I'm sure you have heard me speak about, the Scottish Queer International Film Festival. Yeah, they've been really supportive. They're a queer film festival here based in Glasgow. They do a lot of film screenings here in Scotland in general, but they've been really supportive. But actually, big shout out to Project Ability, who actually helped me make my third film. And I think what was my third film? Versions, and that was kind of like my breakout film. Okay. Because I hadn't really done anything kind of like that up until then, because they were quite formative in me kind of, breaking through.
My first film, called with Matthew, I never heard of the arts organisation Carousel back in 2004. That was my first film I made, just storyboarded it with a support worker, and he did all the tech stuff, but I have no previous experience of making a film, no expression of art or drama through school or college.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of the same with you. Obviously, going to special needs schools, there weren't really any.
No, exactly. You're right. There weren't that facility there.
Aye, definitely. It was kind of like we don't do that. Or we don't have that kind of sort of thing, and I think that can be quite discouraging sometimes.
Yeah, and all I got made to do was do a Christmas play and dressed up like a blinking shepherd. Right? Is this your best art form for the whole 12 bloody months?
anyway, Celebi.
You both came to Oska Bright Film Festival as filmmakers first. Could you talk a little bit about your first experiences of connecting with the festival?
Well, my first connection with the festival was back in 2015.
Yeah, it was when we were at the Dome.
Yeah. And I think I'd been granted funding from Creative Scotland. I mean, I was literally bricking it. I was just like, what if I don't get the funding? Like, I really want to go down here, and I'm really determined to get the funding. But I was successful, though. We managed to book all of our travel and our accommodation, and I remember going down just feeling really, really nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I was just thinking, right, this is a new community that I'm coming into. I don't really know much about. I mean, to be quite frank, for a very long time, I didn't realise that there was a learning disability arts community. But it just kind of made me think, oh, right, there's a community out there for people like me who want to be artists, who want to be in the community, who want to make work. Because to be quite frank, for a very long time, I didn't realise that people with learning disabilities could even get a foot through. I just remember, like in the sort of backstage area, that it was a really magical moment. I mean,
it was
kind of just like, all right, like there's someone here who's like, yes, we have certain differences, but there are similarities.
Yeah,
and I need to spend more time with this person because I know something great is going to happen from this friendship. Not just friendship, but also this creative partnership too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember leaving on the first visit because I think we were on a coach. I think it was an 11-hour coach ride we were on. And I remember just getting on the coach and I didn't want to leave. I was just like, I want to stay here. I don't want to go back home to Glasgow. And I just remember like literally, I don't know, I just got really emotional leaving the place. Cause I'm like, you know, like I really needed to be here. Like I really needed to know that there was a place for me, a community of people that I could just thrive with. And I think Oska Bright really showed me that. I immediately felt at home, weirdly enough, even though Brighton isn't my home. I suppose I say this to my mum all the time, like Brighton's kind of like my home away from home. It's like kind of like my second home now, really, because I've been down to Brighton so much now. I think I've lost count how many times I've been down to Brighton now. You know, due to my connection with you guys, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's kind of like my second home now. What about you, Matthew? What's your sort of first memories of Oska Bright?
Just to be recognised for my first film, and that inspired me to go on and to don't give up, not on the first film.
I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the creative work of Carousel, because I didn't have the creative networks or platforms at school or further education. There just wasn't the opportunity back then. So without the input and the opportunity of Carousel, I wouldn't be here now to what I've achieved over the past 12 years.
How do you think we hold on to, like you were saying, Mattie, you know, like it's important to archive the work that you've done and the work that you've done together? How do we get people to sort of see that and recognize that more?
I don't know, actually, I don't know if I've told you this, Matthew, but I started up a project I think it was about 2-3 years ago. And it was kind of like an online project. And it was kind of sharing all the material that I'd saved up from I think it was the 2 Matthew and Matthew events that we did, the Brighton event and the Glasgow event. And basically what I did was that I scanned I think, I don't know if it was all the material, don't quote me on that, but I think it was the majority of the material lab. I basically scanned it, and all the scans that I'd scanned, I'd posted up onto, I think it was Tumblr. And I mean, to be quite frank, I don't know how much of an impact that's had, because it's like, I don't know, like, I mean, it's still up there. Like, people can view it. I mean, I suppose maybe I should post a link to the actual, because I actually called it the Matthew and Matthew Archives Project. But I mean, that's one example that I can give. I mean, it's a bit of a ballsy move, but I think I'd say maybe an exhibition. I've been thinking about that, like maybe an actual, like a physical exhibition where all the materials are shown and people can look at it and people can judge for themselves what these events kind of represent. I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot as well. I mean, I don't know about you, Matthew, but personally for me, I would actually like to make maybe a film based on the archives, but I don't know how I'd go about that. Maybe just it's a weird one, because like I'm like, well, how do you make a film using archive materials? It's been a thought in general for me, like sort of making a film based around not just the Matthew and Matthew archives, but just like making a film around learning disability archives in general. For me, like I was very influenced by sort of queer sort of feminist sort of cultural archives. I was kind of thinking, well, hold up, wait a minute here. Where are the learning disability cultural archives?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of conversation. It kind of made me angry a little bit. It kind of made me a bit frustrated. I'm like, well, are our archives just, I mean, are they there? You know, like, are they there? And if they are there, why are the conversations not happening? Have they gone quiet? Have our histories gone quiet? And if so, how can we energize that conversation?
Yeah, how can we energize it and keep it going, especially in this COVID-19 pandemic that we're in? Yeah.
That being said, I do admit that archives, it's a difficult one, because I know archives have a bit of an academic context around them as well, which I think can be a bit, you know, because not everyone knows what archives are.
No.
I think that's also another issue, the sort of accessibility around the language around archives as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe another reason why there hasn't been a lot of conversation around it, because archives and history are so grounded within academia.
Matthew, you were talking about maybe making a documentary about your early days.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I still want to. Yeah, I don't know how to go about it, but I've only started putting pencil to paper about my coming out story when I was 27. It said in the book, Made Possible. And my mum said, I didn't know you come out in Malta. I said, yeah, Mum. I was there for 2 weeks, and I told you both when I got back in the UK. So hashtag that's how it is. Yeah, I would like to, but I'd like to make a documentary. I don't think I've made one before, and I would like to. Yeah.
It's lovely to see you both and to catch up. Yeah, this conversation was really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I did. Yeah, did enjoy it. Yeah.
We said goodbye to Mattie, and then Matthew and I reflect a little bit on Oska Bright Film Festival 2019 and what the future holds.
So we've just had a festival in November last year.
Yeah, we did. Yes, a very successful festival. Yeah, over 4 days. Yeah, 99 films over 7 screenings. Yeah.
Any highlights for you? Any standout moments?
Opening night was just sheer. It went sheer great. It was just everything just went sheer great. Even though I got told to move on with the guys from Drag Syndrome. So Drag Syndrome had their entered their film in 19. They entered it into the festival. It was a real success, and then we had the Q&A with them on the opening night. Before the opening night had to be wrapped up before day 2, and we asked them loads of questions, and they're such lovely people, and I just wish I had the opportunity to chat to them a bit further. People haven't seen the film. It's about a group of 4 people and their artistic director, who's and they get into drag as drag artists, and then it follows them. They're all quite strong characters and also strong personalities, which we saw quite clearly from the film and also from the Q&A. I think they're the first in the country with a learning disability and drag artists. I got told to wrap it up, and I didn't bloody well want to, but I had to. So no, that went really well. And when we did the meet and greet with the other people on day 2, did the meet and greet with the European partners, and me and Mattie and San from Glasgow, and yeah, that went really well. That went really successful as well.
So we're in this situation now. We're in the middle of, we're kind of towards the end of lockdown, I hope.
Yeah, I'm hoping that too now, David, because I'm getting a bit restless. I don't know about you, but
maybe by the time this goes out, things will be much more open again.
Yeah, I think you're right. By the time this goes out, things will be much more open. Yeah. Then we can't take the films on tour now, can we? Because of COVID-19. So instead of going on tour, which we're on tour yet, so what we're doing every month or every other month, we're putting our online festival, and it's called Oska Bites. Each month or every other month, there'll be a different screening up there. And then I've been charged about what it's called and what goes out there, as well as with creative help from my committee members as well.
It's been really nice to make contact with the filmmakers again.
Yes, it has, especially Hugo. Yeah.
Hugo Carlson. So he won an award at the festival.
Yeah, he did for his animation, You and I totally associate with how he feels. Sometimes we can, even in this COVID-19 lockdown, we can be our own worst critic if we make a film and we think, oh, does that not look so good, or I'm not too sure. So I totally get with what he was saying.
Here's Hugo reflecting on his time at Oska Bright Film Festival in 2019.
It felt surreal and amazing to win the award, and I still feel very honored by it. It's been a great thing for me mentally, because during times when I feel down and have doubts about my art, like it's not good enough and it's not worth the effort, then I can remind myself that the good people at the Oska Bright Film Festival thought my film was good enough for the award. So yeah, that's been a pretty big thing for me.
Where do you see the future of the festival then? What about Oska Bright 2021?
Oh, wow. Well, our creative future. I'm hoping by next year things would have moved on a lot on our side, and that we can start planning our 10th birthday. 2021 will be Oska Bright's 10th birthday.
Last year you were contacted by Saba Salman.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, she wanted initially, and I agreed, write a book about what people with learning disabilities can achieve, and their story behind it, because a lot of people don't hear it, well, particularly in the mainstream, that like they don't hear about it.
When you were doing the research for that chapter,
Yeah.
looking back over all of the things that you've done with Carousel, there's a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot of things. Yeah, there was a lot of things. Yeah.
Including like dance and performance on stage.
Yeah, dance, and I taught these students create this like a dance project back in the day. Yeah.
And so the book's out now, and it's called Made Possible.
Yeah, it's called Made Possible. Yeah.
So people should check that out. Available from all good bookstores. What are your ambitions now?
What, creatively or personally or just life in general? That's a big question, David. Well, I'd like to make a new film, and I've storyboarded it. I'd like to write a documentary about when I came out as gay, because it was really hard being like Catholic back in the day. And then creatively looking forward, I'd like to do more. Yeah, I'd like to do some theatre work in the future, but only if that's possible.
All of your films have been character-based.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. They've all been character-based. And I was looking through some old photos, and and I was 27 when I came out as gay in a Catholic country, Malta, even though now it's more accepting. But yeah, I'd like to write a documentary about how hard it was and my journey.
What's the first thing you're going to do when lockdown ends?
Oh, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Well, I don't know. I'd like to sit into a coffee shop and have a cup of coffee. I've missed doing that. Or just have a simple lunch out. I miss doing that. And
I found myself really missing the cinema the other day.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Oh God, you feel the same way about it as well, do you? I find it really hard not to go to the cinema. Yeah, I've missed going to the cinema as well.
Well, Matthew, it's been lovely chatting to you.
Yes, and you.
So where can people go to watch Oska Bites?
Oska Bright website, and also check out our social media pages as well. I know this is still hard, but try and keep smiling and stay positive. That's what I'm trying to do myself.
The second Oska Bites online film festival is on Thursday the 6th of August at 7 p.m. to be screened live on Facebook and later on oskabright.org/OskaBites. Presented with support from the BFI, Love Bites is a celebration of LGBTQ plus learning disability culture, with 3 outstanding films, interviews with filmmakers, and an introduction from Queer Freedom and Oska Bright's film festival programmer Matthew Hellet.
Visit greyeye.org and disabilityarts.online for details of productions, events, interviews, opinions, reviews, and learning opportunities.